Welcome everyone. Good evening. We'll get started very shortly. We'll just wait for a few more to get into the webinar, and then we'll kick start off this webinar. All right, we might kick it off. It's 6:02, and I'm mindful that you're all very busy people, so we don't want to keep you waiting any unnecessarily. So let's get going. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening for our Reopening for Business webinar number 2. I'm Helen Ruddle, Manager of Economic Development Investment at Yarra Ranges Council. I'd like to acknowledge that we meet tonight on the lands of the Wurundjeri people, the traditional custodians of this land. We also pay respects to all Aboriginal community elders, past and present, who have resided in the area and have been an integral part of the history of this region. Speaking this evening, we have Bronwyn Green, Director of Business Education and Outbreaks, Industry Coordination and Recovery Group at the Department of Jobs, Precincts and Regions, Township Development Officer Tamara Meadows with Yarra Ranges Council, and Marketing Dynamo Elsa Page from AP Marketing Works. We have lots to cover this evening, so we'll get started now with Bronwyn giving us an overview of the next phase of the roadmap and projections into 2022. There'll be time for questions at the end of Bronwyn's presentation. Please use the Q&A function and we'll address questions at the end. Any we don't have time to get to this evening will be answered later, and all questions and answers will be posted on the Yarra Ranges Council website. Over to you, Bronwyn.
Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Helen. So it's really important, and as we open up, that we keep in mind the need for us all to be COVID safe in our work, in our lives, in our businesses. But I'm here to talk about our business lives. So as you no doubt saw on Friday night at 6 o'clock, we've entered phase C of the National Roadmap. So the roadmap was put in place to help us all understand what's coming. And then once we're in the phases, the directions get published by the Department of Health, and then we all understand the rules. So I'm here to talk about the current restrictions and directions under phase C. So since the reopening on Friday night, there's been eased density and capacity limits in a whole range of businesses, particularly for those that are fully vaccinated. So the vaccinated economy is the language that gets used a lot now, and that's because being vaccinated is the best way we can all help us all stay safe from getting COVID. So one of the key rules is that face masks remain mandatory indoors, but are no longer required outdoors unless you are unable to be physically distant. You still need to have a COVID safe plan if you're a business owner, and I will run through what that looks like after a little bit more detail about the restrictions. And you also need to keep the QR code check-in for recording customers into your business. Go to the next slide. So for most indoor settings, including restaurants, pubs, gyms, hairdressers, they're all now open with a density quotient of 4. So that means, looking at your area in your business, 1 person per 4 square metre limit, if all staff and patrons are fully vaccinated. So it is a requirement to have everyone attending those settings to be fully vaccinated and checked. Then the outdoor settings are more people, so 1 person per 2 square metres, up to 500 maximum, again, while everyone's fully vaccinated. And you may have now seen that there is a difference between those businesses and retail. So retail, including essential retail, as in supermarkets and things that were always open even in lockdown, and then general retail, things that weren't, so clothes shops, etc. You are not required to ask for vaccinated status of customers at this setting. That's expected to change in the next setting, which is phase D, and that's based on 90% double vaccination. So we will expect that in roughly mid-November, 20 or 24th of November is the estimated timeframe for that. So to check your vaccination status of your customers or your patrons, you have the option of looking at their QR code check-in, which I hope some of you have already got on your phones. So you can link your Medicare record and your vaccination record with your Service Victoria details, and then that allows you to show your phone and you can check for the green tick. There's some information there about how to, or there's posters, etc. you can put up on your business to help you, understand that, and for your staff to understand that. There are a number of reasons why you may not be able to get vaccination, and if you qualify for a number of those reasons, you can get that exemption status also recognised. Now, there's only one way to do that now. From last Friday, you had to get an Australian Immunisation Register medical exemption form, and you have to do that by this Friday. So you've had there's been a couple of weeks. So I think I'm a week out. This has been in place for 2 weeks, hasn't it? So up until this Friday, the 12th of November, you have until then to get this recognition through the Australian Immunisation Register. So just having a doctor's certificate will no longer be acceptable after the 12th. So there are further details in the link there about how to do that. There are other ways of checking vaccination status of customers, which includes having a printed copy of their digital certificate with some photo ID or their immunisation history statement. And there's some instructions there for those of you who may not know how to do that. I think there's been some help around various places across Victoria, libraries and various places, and Helen might be able to talk about that later, about where you might be able to get help or send people to get help that might need a bit more support. There is also a new way of looking at your risk if and when there has been a customer or a person in your business that has been tested positive for COVID-19. So there's a risk-based matrix which now exists, and this is it's hard to read on the screen, but when you look at it, it's really important that you use this matrix because it helps you look at the risk of what your situation is. So if there was the customer or your staff member had a mask on, for example, or whether they didn't, the risk changes, whether or not they were in the shop for 10 minutes or a longer time, the risk then changes. And this helps you work out what you need to do next, which is, I think, really important to know and to be ready to know where to go if that happens to you. There are enforcement penalties for the people for businesses that are not following the directions. So you can be issued with a fine, you could be issued with an improvement notice, or in the worst case scenario, a prohibition notice, which means you'll have to shut your business straight away if you're not complying. And there are some fines associated with a whole range of different breaches, including not checking on vaccination status of your staff. You can be fined as a business up to $21,000. So it's quite significant, and definitely want to make sure you understand all the rules in place. There's a whole bunch of links there, including a suite of posters and signs that you can download and put up around the place. There are some business grants and supports, links to those, further information and videos about how to link your vaccine certificate to your app. So as I said at the start, having a COVID safe plan is still a requirement. Every business must have one, and every business needs to keep it up to date. There are 6 key principles that haven't changed since the beginning, and you need to make sure that these are relevant to your place and making sure that, you know, they're up to date with the latest restrictions and rules. So I'll just quickly run through them. So you need to keep physical distancing in your shop or your business. If you have a, just jump to the next slide, there's a few examples there. For example, if you have an entrance way, you might direct customers to one side and then people exiting on another side, just trying to prevent that pooling of people either around the entrance or perhaps around where your point of sale is, or those sorts of examples. Just keep the flow, keep people a bit separate if you can, and make sure everyone stays 1.5 meters apart. It's also good to have your staff perhaps working, if you have a bigger business, you have a number of staff, you might do shift changeovers and make sure that they're not crossing, they're not passing each other. So in case there was a positive person in your workplace, you don't have everyone being a primary close contact, and then not everyone has to stay home and you can keep your business running. So that's why that's really important to think about. The next one's mask wearing. Again, you need to keep that on inside at all times. Still, keeping that hygiene up, sanitizer, keeping a cleaning log of when and where you clean. High touch surfaces still really important. Surfaces around your countertop, etc. Keep records. Make sure you have the QR code app code on your door. Make sure that you have records of your vaccination status of your staff, and then you know about the confirmed case in the workplace matrix and the process to follow in case you have a positive case. And this is about keeping the doors and windows open, avoiding those interactions in enclosed spaces. Keep that fresh air flowing if you can. Keep the recycled air on in the car if you're sharing vehicles with people that aren't in your household. Work outdoors where you can too. Obviously, that isn't always possible, but if you can, the more outdoors, the better. And the last one is keeping the workforce bubbles in place. So similar to what I said earlier around having different teams in bubbles, you might keep the same group of people if you can. I don't know, it's not always possible, but keeping those people in the bubble together so that they're not crossing over. So, keeping the break times different if you can with the bubbles of people, so they're not overlapping. It all helps to keep your business open. So all the different requirements are set out in a COVID Safe Plan template that you can download from coronavirus website, .vic.gov.au. There's a number of them translated into different languages as well, which might be something you need. And you can fill it out in your language as well. Keep it updated, as I said, really important. Things are going to change again, and hopefully that will stay in the same settings for a while so we can all get used to them. We acknowledge it is tricky when there's lots of changes and it keeps being updated, but thankfully they are being eased, so it makes things better. We're out and about now, so that's good. There's a link there to all the posters, and here's a couple of examples. There's a bit of new branding you can download and get your posters updated. I think, keep reiterating, don't go to work if you're feeling unwell, get tested. There is financial support available if you need to wait for your test results, if you can't work, but you do need to notify the Department of Health, and you also need to notify WorkSafe in your business. So it's still important and still required. A couple of examples of the payments that you can get if you need to, and the links there to the template for getting your COVID Safe Plan information. So if you not sure what to do, what sort of thing you need to include in a COVID Safe Plan, or you haven't got one yet, or you've just started a new business and you need one, we are offering a free independent COVID Safe Plan review service, which is run by Ernst & Young, and they will, on the phone online, be able to help you either write one, or if you need it checked and you're not sure if you've got it up to date and you don't know quite what the newest rules are, they can have a look at it and will give you advice on what perhaps you could do to improve your COVID Safe management in your business. So you just need to send an email to the COVID Safe Plan review email address there, and then Ernst & Young can give you a call. So they can do that over the phone and make a time for when suits, or just do it straight away. So we're always open to feedback for these sorts of sessions, but thank you. That's really it. I'm open for questions. Anyone who might like to.
Thank you, Bronwyn. We do have a couple of questions that have come in here. How do businesses access the rapid antigen testing kits for their staff? Just thinking that they may need larger quantities than they can purchase from a chemist.
We haven't actually got anything yet in state government, at least, for that I'm aware of. It's fairly new. Certainly today there was an announcement by the Premier that talked about having a trial in schools. So that's very, very new. They're looking at testing in 20 schools, having those available so that children who might be a primary close contact can go back to school after a week rather than 2 weeks, which is the current time frame because you're unvaccinated. But that is really a new thing, and it's not something that the state government at least has, got funding for yet, and might be coming. It's not something that's in place at this stage, though.
Thank you. And another one came in. Does a community market that operates once a month, and this is an outdoor market, does that have to check if all patrons are vaccinated? So both now and also when the rules change at 90%?
At the moment, the retail map setting is not required. So it's considered essential retail, food market. So no, you do not need to at the moment. In the next phase, the roadmap talks about needing the double vaccinated for retail as well. So at the moment, that is what is proposed, but again, it's not yet written into directions. So until they're landed, it's I can't definitively say, but and whether or not there'll be a difference for an outdoor market, I can't really say. It's speculating. So, but at the moment, no.
Thank you. I think that's it for the moment, so I may hand back to Helen.
Right.
Thanks so much, Bronwyn. That was really great to have that feedback directly from you. In terms of those on the line, if you have questions in the future, please put them into Q&A or send them through, and we'll ensure we'll get that information to you. So we'll move up now onto the next part of the webinar. I'd like to hand over to Tamara Meadows, who'll give you an update on the outdoor retail and dining. Over to you, Tamara.
Thanks, Helen. So hi, my name's Tamara Meadows and I'm the Township Development Officer sitting in the Design and Place team at Council. Recently, the Victorian State Government announced new streams of funding supporting the COVID-safe outdoor activation. The first of these streams is targeted at businesses, and it's a voucher program that's available to businesses, community organisations, not-for-profits and trader groups. This voucher program is providing $7,000, $2,000 grants to use to upgrade and support outdoor trade, and can be used in investment in equipment, permits, and other tools needed to offer safe retail and personal services, recreation and dining options outdoors. There is a requirement that the recipient is committing to spending an equal or greater amount. It's the grant, and applications can be made on the Business Victoria website. In addition to that funding, Victorian Government have also allocated funds to councils for COVID-safe outdoor activation. And this is to assist businesses to operate in outdoor settings in a COVID-safe manner. This is an extension of the outdoor eating and entertainment package and aims to support all businesses rather than just focusing on hospitality. Council officers have already begun a roadshow, travelling around to different activity centres to talk to business and ask about how we can best utilise this funding to support them. Change slide. We have talked to close to 100 businesses over the past weeks, and what we have learnt so far is that the priorities that will support business with outdoor activation through reopening include township tidy-ups and beautification, increased public infrastructure and waste and graffiti management, and creative activations to bring vibrancy and life back to our townships. Next slide, please. So Council is already in the process of responding to this feedback. Additional resources are being established to support the parks and infrastructure teams in a Shire-wide township tidy-up, which will include pressure cleaning pavements, re-oiling, painting or replacing public infrastructure, and replanting and mulching garden beds. External graffiti management services will be engaged, as well as an increase in waste management services in our hotspots. There's 11 parklets have been developed and delivered across the municipality, with the last few to be delivered in the coming weeks. Our creative community teams are organising many musical and creative performances to pop up all over the Shire in the coming weeks and months, from large organised performances to roaming street artists. We look forward to our townships being vibrant and full of activity again, leading into the Christmas season. In addition to this, Council are employing COVID concierges who will be available to support business with navigating the new COVID normal, offering guidance and providing information related to safety and government regulations. We look forward to this new team visiting businesses across the municipality over the coming months. And I thank you for your time this evening, and I think I'm going to pass it back to you, Helen.
I've just got a quick question that's come in, Tamara, if you can help us.
Sure.
Question for Tamara. Wondering when the applications for the $2,000 outdoor dining voucher will be processed. I applied the day after it opened, but I haven't heard back yet. Do you have any ideas on that, or perhaps even Bronwyn?
Yeah, I was going to ask if Bronwyn might know, actually. It's, yeah, I'm not sure.
Apologies, just repeat that question.
They were just asking about the processing time for the $2,000 grants.
I'm sorry, it's not my area of expertise either. It's a different part of our department. It is in our department, but I don't have details on that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, look, we might take that one offline and send a response afterwards. We'll follow that one up.
We sure will. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks so much, Tamara and Bronwyn. Before I introduce our final guest, I'd like to give you a quick rundown on our Be Kind, Stay Safe campaign. As Tamara mentioned, council staff have been out in the community on a series of reopening roadshows, and we have further locations coming up this week, including Warburton on Wednesday and across the hills on Friday. Along with getting feedback on our outdoor activation programs, we've been checking in with businesses and delivering signage to assist you with communicating government guidelines and safety messages to your patrons. We are not visiting to enforce these government guidelines. We're here to give you some practical support as best we can. Be Kind, Stay Safe is reminding community members and visitors to remain vigilant with their health and safety behaviours, follow government requirements, and to support our businesses as they navigate these new guidelines. An integral part of reopening is outdoor trading. One way your business may be able to increase the impact it has from the outside is with window displays. And this year, Council is facilitating the Yarra Ranges Christmas Window Display Competition. There will be plenty of prizes and prestige to be won. Information on how to join in can be found on our website under the business page. We understand that having to navigate reopening after a series of lockdowns and as Christmas trading looms can be overwhelming. The information and updates change quickly, and there's uncertainty in the community as to what their roles and responsibilities are too. Businesses are often at the forefront of all of this. What can you do as a business owner now? Businesses find it beneficial to become members of industry groups or a local business or trader group. Industry groups are often consulted with or informed early on specific developments or changes to their industry and can let their members know immediately. They can also advocate for their members and get their concerns escalated. Different groups also offer much in the way of additional support, education for yourself and staff members, and information sources. So I would strongly encourage you to consider the small investment to join an industry or a business or a trader group. Some examples of some of the industry groups that you might want to think of, and you will have seen them on the news, often responding to the lockdowns, are organisations such as VECI, the Restaurant and Catering Association, Australian Retail Association, to name just a few. By joining your local business or trader group within your community or township, is also a very good way to stay at the forefront of information affecting your business and increase your community's position to enact beneficial change or advocate for benefits for your business community. Council is committed to strengthening our relationships with our local business and trader groups and working closely to support them. And stay tuned, we'll have some of that coming up with those groups in the near future. We're also very aware that another challenge your business may face can be staff shortages. The Yarra Ranges Job Link is an online jobs portal advertising local jobs for local people. You can sign up or post your jobs for free at the www.yarraranges.vic.gov.au. If you go into the business and employment section and search for Yarra Ranges Job Link, it'll provide you a connection directly to that portal. On our website, you will also find all the links you need right now, which we endeavour to keep up to date as information changes. For all other updates, please refer to the coronavirus. Apologies for that. Right, where am I? For all other updates, please refer to coronavirus.vic.gov.au. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope we've been able to answer some of your questions and provide you with some useful information. We really look forward to some of your entries in the Christmas window competition, and we're also really looking forward to seeing you in person in the future rather than virtually. We will have a recording of this webinar along with the questions and answers up on the Yarra Ranges Council website soon. Take care and good night.